We're not gonna.
Meetings last week, we landed on Monday with 112. Tuesday,
We did.
a little bit more.
We'll just hold, I guess we'll just hold off on it. Whatever.
Yeah, because raises other problems.
I'll fix it.
Any luck with Mr. Yergi?
I have not heard from him today. Okay. And our last conversation was through email. We did speak on the phone. Because he had some questions. We spoke on the phone. We ended up swapping cell phones. Because the number that you had given me was for the restaurant.
Right.
And we went back and forth a little bit, and he was going to look at it and get back to me with any changes he wanted to see. I don't know if he was doing it himself or if he had somebody look at it.
Okay.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't try and find a way to deed that circle to him. Not the roadway, but the piece in the middle.
So what's your?
Can we deed it to him, lease it to him for?
Well, that's the problem, because we still own all of that, and that's our improvement. There's the maintenance agreement, if they want to do it. I was looking for a piece of law that said we can do that. I don't see it yet, like getting rid of the circle in the middle of the village.
Yes, 750.
Right, because the fire department wants it. We just can't.
Right.
I don't think, but that's what I'm trying to figure out.
So are you saying we don't need a maintenance agreement?
No, I'm saying absolutely, I think we do, as long as we still own it.
Okay.
Yeah, we want, we want. Because those aren't improvements that we normally would make to a roadway, or to, if you want to circle, whatever, the rotary. And God bless them for wanting to do that. And it sure does make it look pretty, but it's nothing we want.
And as soon as we get the verbal or whatever okay from them, let's just go ahead and do a resolution at that point, right?
Yeah, we'll put it right on.
All right.
Hey, Ron.
Because people are going to be asking me why is it?
You know, we
You doing?
not to, we do that in many instances, which is go ahead, we'll put it on for the next meeting.
Okay.
Once we get to that point.
Yep. Once he says they're
Once he
good.
says he's good to go.
Okay.
All right, we'll get our work session going. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
For Bill's victory, much better.
Yeah, right.
So, Matt, you want to start off over there?
Sure. Let's see. It appears the restaurant dumpster issue of Walden and Bottomer has somewhat resolved itself. The owner stepped up, made some adjustments to the regular dumping of that. I had the conversation with the complainant about that. He seemed to be acceptable to it. Time is going to tell. We'll just closely monitor it. Park Lane Apartments responded. They acknowledged receiving the applications for their fire safety inspections, and we're going to get through those buildings one at a time, and we'll get through the whole site. And thank you to the board, Bruce and our electrical team there took care of that lighting issue downstairs. I just finally got Disco Duck out of my head when I walked in the morning. So thank you. It's 100 times better. Thanks.
Good.
All set, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Ed, engineering.
Let's see, senior center's moving along, they're making pretty good progress, sidewalks are basically almost done. Pickleball courts are done, and they've started work on the gazebo. Historic building next door, we've got a pre-construction meeting Wednesday here. So that will start, the siding repairs. Historical Society grants. The HVAC here is still kind of an open issue. I haven't gotten anything back from anybody as far as, there was a couple alternatives, but it's kind of lingered. I'll follow up again, see what they want to do. Regarding the schoolhouse, that's moving along. The HVAC work is complete. They've maxed out 100,000 when they added the shutters from, we talked about last meeting. Let me see. Nothing on Siebert, still for DOT. I'll come back to the soffits in a second. Windows, New York Forward had a meeting, I think last week. I have not heard, I didn't get any feedback from that yet. Brickyard bid opening for that is next week. Warner Road reconstruction, the survey is complete. I met with Highway today to go over the survey, just identifying any problem areas they're aware of, just concentrate on. Nothing we didn't really know. And then we discussed, probably going to install 2 speed tables on that road, at some intersections. That'll help slow the cars down. Use them in crosswalk areas. We're going back to the soffits. The soffits here, we had a bid opening September 12th. The original estimate we were given was 100 to 150,000. The low bid was 243,000. So I reached back out to the architect with a question mark and said, okay, let's do it. I haven't got a response yet. So, I'll hopefully hear from him this week. See what if there's anything they can trim out of the scope, or it is what it is because of the work. If it is, then we'll have to make a decision. We only put 200 into the bond, or we increased the bond that we had on the building here to 200. Some of that was spent, so there's certainly not enough left in that capital fund to cover this. So we'll have to make a decision on how we want to proceed. Put more money in the fund, or a special bond, or pay for it some other way.
Something for us to discuss.
Is there any chance of getting a lower bid? We put it back
Well,
out
that's
again?
what I'm waiting to talk to the architect about. I want to see.
Okay.
But I mean, they got 2 bids, one at 298 and one at 243.
Any reasons for the bids coming out so high?
That's what they're trying to find
And
out.
what's-
Yeah.
From your personal experience though?
No, I mean, it's pricing right now is still all over the place, and that's part of the problem. I mean, and it is a little bit of a specialty work. Not so much the work itself, although they do have to make the wood, special to match. I'm assuming the biggest issue is just because it's so high. I mean, it's just working at that height with the equipment, safety. It's expensive. Plus the insurance for working up there is probably up there a little bit. Because you get into the scaffold and everything else. That's all I got.
Clerk's office, anything?
Yes, everybody should receive the letter from me today. If you haven't received it today, you'll receive it tomorrow for your taxes.
Check. That might go.
So you have, normally it's the 15th of October, which is a weekend, so you have to the following Monday.
Attorney's office?
Couple things by way of complaints that have come in. I know that the chief is involved in the one we may be revisiting or visiting. Light issues where there's harassment because of too much lighter. Summit is that one, yes. Airbnbs came up within the last couple of weeks. We may be revisiting that in the next weeks and months, whether or not we want them or can't even control them, because we had a complaint about a sizable party that caused some damage over on Harris Hill a couple of weeks back. There was a company called Everest. They do cell tower lease purchasing. They wanted to give us a couple $100,000 to buy out our lease forever at 525 Pavement. And I went through all the numbers with Mary in finance, got what we're receiving, and it looks like a very rotten deal for us overall. Not next week if we get our 200,000, but by 2040 we'll be getting nothing. And there's a significant income drop if we decide to sell off that lease.
This isn't the first time that they've tried this. It's happened numerous times,
And other companies as well.
right, at the end of the day, it always turns out not to be a great deal for us. Yeah, it's upfront money, but down the road,
I had some discussions with Ed Schiller on the Broadway ditch issue. It's not our ditch, apparently, and whether or not we want to get ourselves involved in cleaning private ditches. It turns out that there's some issues there, and I'm happy to brief you on that if there's any interest, but it's not our ditch, and we're not going to be cleaning that out at this point. You may even have visited that. Did you visit that?
What's the address you're talking about?
6275.
Yeah, I thought the state was doing it.
They did their part up by the right of way, but she's still complaining about the ditch down along her property, which, we walked it. I didn't see too much problem with the ditch itself.
Yeah, I didn't see any other problems either, so if they did that, the water should flow smoothly
Yeah.
instead of breaking up and going into different areas.
The only,
So-
The board's going to end up getting an inquiry on 33 Partridge Walk, which used to be a bus turnaround. It's a vacant lot owned by the town. Somebody wants to buy and maybe even build on that lot. That call, I think, went to 4 or 5 different offices in the town.
I contacted Matt about it.
Well, at the time the map cover was filed, it was deemed to be a temporary turnaround. I believe it's the town's access to that streamway that connects Aurora all the way through to Hidden Pines.
But now that does go through.
It
didn't
does
used
go
to. It
through,
used to
but
dead end.
it's the town's only access to that streamway, again, from Hidden Meadows
Okay.
to not Partridge, Old Post Road.
Okay. Well, I'm just letting you know that there was some inquiries made, and I think they hit up almost every department in the town. I'm going to be sending out an email to all of you regarding 525, the Psych Center, Buffalo Psych Center, Lancaster office. They're asking for both a lease extension and some fairly expensive repairs to be made. Some handicap stuff. There's some stuff out of compliance. The roof is leaking. Just got that all in last week from Bruce. We've been working on that, so hopefully next meeting we can talk about it. And I think all of you got the email on budget transfers. That's all I got.
Sterling?
I can add to that if you'd like. This is a resolution that has gone out every December up until,
Yeah, end of the year, right?
we have not received one of these since 2019.
Tom, one of the residents on Sterling also said you're going to be meeting with them or talking?
Tomorrow night.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
Ed Schiller and Chuck Malcolm will be there.
Good.
Okay. John, anything from Highway?
Good evening. It's just been pretty much business as usual. Lots of brush pickup. We started doing some patching. Today, with the help of the village and Depew, we ended up milling Lancaster Parkway. We're going to prep it tomorrow. We're going to pave it on Wednesday. Other than that, our guys are working hard getting our leafers ready to rock and roll. We're assuming we're going to be out in the next couple of weeks, and then it'll be full force. We notified the town of the new scheduling that we're going to try out. Apologize to you, Diane, about that mishap today. So hopefully we'll have everything squared away, and then app will be up and ready, rock and roll by Wednesday or Thursday. Okay.
Bruce, Parks, Recreation, Forestry?
Good evening. For Lancaster Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, no resolutions before the board tonight. A couple updates. Our department completed the tree surveys last week. So for our fall planning, we have 129 trees. So we're heading to the woods shortly. The grass is still growing, but we're going to be heading to the woods. Our department is redoing the Lions Memorial Garden over by the Senior Center to tie in with all the construction there. We just thought that would be a nice improvement. We're going to be landscaping it this week, and we're targeting Friday. The Mets family is going to be there, and just kind of just seeing the progress we made. So tying in with the sidewalks, that project looks excellent. You know, Ed and everyone, contractors doing great over there with the new pickleball courts up and rolling. At least the asphalt's down and the fencing's up. So, and also overall in the town, you'll see just our department improving entrances. So you'll see if you drive by the police, you'll see the police with the the ceiling, the striping. We put up a nice sign on our compound showing where the buildings are at. And also if you drive by Westwood, you'll see a little more trend towards stone and entrances, both Schwartz and pavement. And you'll see just overall a trend to doing more of that. So, any questions or? All right.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Phil.
Chief?
Chief, could you talk about the airport at this point, instead of taking up time during the regular meeting? Is the gentleman from the airport coming in?
He'll be here at 7.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we can wait till then, but for whatever reason, people are asking questions about what happened when the plane flipped over back on May 14th, 2022. And so we wanted to make sure the chief can talk about it and the gentleman from the airport can talk about it.
Sure.
And if you want to give us a briefing here and then maybe something from the gentleman from the airport, that'd be great.
So basically, the incident itself, we had a plane was called into our department that had at some point gone for a takeoff, and really what ends up being from the report, pilot error, it ended up flipping at the end of the runway. Our officers received a call. I'm not exactly sure where the call came through or who it came from. They received a call, went out there. Police officers, fire, and EMS personnel were all denied access to the property, but this was not by an airport representative. It was by a tenant of the property. They were not authorized to deny any access. They had no standing at the airport other than they rented space for their airplane and were running a business for flight training out of it. After that, Chief Karn got involved and asked me to look further into it and see if we can come up with a course of action to take to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. Working with airport management, we came up with a plan for fire and EMS and the police department, basically what's going to happen at this point if there was an incident like that to happen again. And we responded, and wherever denied access, we have security code access to be able to get through the gate. We're authorized by the airport that if, for whatever reason, if there's an emergency and somebody is blocking us, there's multiple different access points, and we will, at that point, take down a gate through force, and whoever's blocking us access is going to be arrested for obstruction. And then we will deal with the problem at hand, what we're called there for. Once the airport representative is here, he'll be able to confirm all that and answer any questions about their protocols if you have any.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, let's move over to resolutions. I have number 1, it's to approve the minutes of the meeting from September 5th. Number 2 are audit claims. Councilmember Mazur, number 3 and 4.
Yeah, 3 is the biweekly building permit applications, affirmations. Number 4 is to approve the single-family homes final plot at Field Stream.
I have number 5 is to do some easements so we can gain access to fix some water lines. Councilmember Burkhart, number 6.
Confirm membership roster, Town Line Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay, 7, 8, and 9 are all appointing part-time van drivers. And number 10 is to authorize the attendance of a detective for a class. And number 11 is to authorize 3 detectives for a class. Number 12 is appointing a part-time person in my office. Councilmember Burkhart, number 13.
Authorize 8 application for Justice Court's Assistant Program for Equipment, Automation, Furniture, Supplies, and Security.
Councilmember Leary, number 14.
Number 14 is to set a public hearing for proposed local law 2023 one-year moratorium on applications, approvals, construction for commercial residential development.
And Councilmember Mazur, number 15.
15 is to adopt a negative declaration on a rezone at 5767 and 5775 Genesee Street. It's reconfiguration of some lots.
Councilmember Leary, number 16 and 17.
Number 16 is to go ahead and hire an independent contractor. Apparently, we have a list of contractors who have supplied their insurance information to basically go in and mow the lawn at mow the property at the abandoned property at 4817 William Street. And number 17 is to award a contract for new shutters to Bezroy Roofing and Siding.
Reconvene at 7 o'clock?
Oh, wait,
Can we,
you guys-
the gentleman from the airport is here.
Oh, yeah.
Can we take a minute?
Sure.
If you don't mind.
We have more than enough time.
Some of you may or may not know Jason Mackin. He's here to represent the airport management.
How you doing, Jason? For whatever reason, it became, stuff started showing up in the public again about the accident that happened on May 14, 2022. And the chief explained to us what we're doing now with the airport. We have the access codes to the airport to get in there if nobody's around. It's our understanding that the person who didn't allow access to the police and fire last time was a tenant and was not one of the people actually working for you. Is that all match with your understanding of what occurred?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And does anybody else have any questions? Because we just wanted to make sure that what was happening was our police had access and the fire people had access to that facility. Did we ever do up an agreement with the tenants to never do that again? I know that Mr. Burkhart and myself had discussed it with some people at the airport. Did you?
I was that person.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago, I'm getting old.
So we all are.
But has anything been done in that regard to tell the tenants they can't do that? They cannot deny access to the fire and police department if they have to show up in an
Absolutely.
emergency? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you've talked to them, or is it written?
Both.
Okay, great.
I don't know if the chief explained to you, but we've been working on this since and probably before the incident. I was an emergency contact and it wasn't followed. You guys remember that at the
Yep.
airport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we've had a drill with the police, fire, and EMS, so the whole town emergency system has access.
Okay, so we had a drill when...
We did. We had a drill with LVAC and Town Line Fire and chief now, Gummer.
Great. Anything else, gentlemen?
No?
Okay. Perfect. We appreciate you coming.
That's it.
Yeah, but we didn't want to hold you.
Simi Road is done. Okay, I took care of that too.
We didn't want to hold you till the end.
Oh, no, I
We got
thought,
through
I was told 7 o'clock and I was like, that's it,
Appreciate you getting here.
Thank you.
buddy.
This one, let me get through, and then this is how we write our duty sheet. Again, anybody or
Oh, Stutzman Road.
years ago, so the parents began.
We would like to do a separate public hearing for that Stutzman Road to change it
Public hearing?
to change it to 30 miles per hour. And I don't know what has to do with what the logistics are, mechanics to it. Because it's changing the law. So we're saying changing vehicle traffic
It's a
law.
local street, but you can put on as many or as few, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Put it on anytime you want.
We can-
But what you probably ought to do is just give me a tweet to make sure that it's something, I think it's something we can do entirely internally, it's not final investigation. But in conjunction with the chief, we'll find out. Honestly, I believe it's better to change it outside. Okay? Yeah. Do that. Give me a couple of minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're talking about it for public. I mean, taking a look at Stutzman Road and see what we can do. If the board agrees to lower the speed limit there, so Tom is going to explore what we have to do that. And then obviously we'd have to have a public hearing and get input from the public before we do anything, but
Hey, chief? Yeah. Come up a second. So the other thing, you gotta look at, Warner Road is 35 for one portion, and then it drops to the fuel. I was gonna bring this up to you anyway. Talk about stuff in Road and how we bring it over street. Warner Road.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. I can do that.
Because that tends to be also its own.
That's the biggest complaint I got from all the salespeople that are in there is
But that was the difference before.
Yeah, so we'll give the,
So you might want to.
yeah, no problem.
What's your opinion of those beams were put over in my house? The one beam, which is
Try and get you
good size,
by the end of the week.
Very good.
10 by,
I was wondering, I sent the highway guy at the Pew, I said, isn't Warner Road 30? And he goes, well, and he said, he sent me a picture in the, it was the town picture, it was in the town where it says 35.
Just at the line.
Yeah, and there's a sign there, and he just might have assumed it was 30 or 35 too, but Ron's right, it is.
Oh, yeah. Is it a wood post
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
or jacks?
That's why I was wondering.
Jack's not the 40. Jack's not the agent of the beams.
They're not going in the foundation.
Alternate,
Yeah, it should be full bearing.
Yeah.
Be full bearing, and then we want the design professionals to how many, because it's based on the span. How many studs would be in that space? So you have 10 foot wide opening, maybe
It's 19 feet.
19 feet. So you're typically you would have 12 studs.
Divided by 16 inches.
Yeah. So whatever that is, it should equal the number.
that's a good idea too.
14.
I'm just saying, if there's a handful of streets that have this interest,
I think those are two, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty streets are bigger, and it's been thrown down studs when it's a very tight street down there.
No sidewalks.
2 feet of concrete. So he's got 6 posts.
it's gonna be hard to say if the study's justified.
Because I said.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know the resolution that we have mentioned.
Smaller than that. I got to drill a hole through it. I got to work like
Hey, Bruce.
On that, just.
And then I think you throw in a sidewalk issue.
Sure.
Remember I said the thing that the election goes to Michelle, she said,
Yeah.
what do you?
Yeah, because there is a back there too. So there's
Size of the road.
there's enough ammunition to back the solution too, yeah.
Sure.
This is what she was doing.
Now,
Okay.
Warner has sidewalks on both sides, or
Yeah.
just the one side?
I think I'm both.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a lot of families, a lot of kids in that neighborhood. It doesn't kill you to go find out.
obviously change dates. And early voting dates, we've got to check that. Not on to yet. No. And you have to make sure that these are the buildings we're doing it in. I think the town attorney would be the one doing this resolution. Request him to do it. Whatever.
Go back around the door and the bar door.
What? Doesn't seem right.
For whatever reason, it
He's
became
going to put 3 on each side.
brought up in the
I
public.
felt comfortable with 3.
Yeah, I saw a letter.
Yeah, one end over top of the foundation. ice wall. The other end, we're probably going to go to the basement
As long as it's got full bearing.
into a footing.
Finality or answer given.
Or a 2x4, like 2 foot block of concrete.
Yeah, with some correction.
Some, I was seeing on Facebook, somebody got hammered about the Seaman Road too. Somebody stuck up and said, we got the grant, and, they're gonna be working on it. And everybody wants their project done yesterday.
There you go.
It's in the floor. Yeah. Here.
Yes. Yeah, it's, what he did is he cut the floor, and then he came back in, poured concrete to here, set the posts there.
And then pour this.
Poured more back.
It's a lateral.
Yeah. One thing the building inspector did waive, which I argued right from the beginning, I didn't understand why the architect inspected. I told you, on the end wall, he called for sheeting, which I understood. The architect had sheeting on the side wall. That's overkill.
Well, there is lateral, but there's also shear wall. He's dealing with shear walls.
Well, that was the end wall. Keep it.
Yeah.
Building that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I know,
But the architect had sheeting on the
I'll talk to the
Sidewall.
side wall.
It may be for your shear.
Well, building inspector said not required. Okay. I questioned.
I don't know who he can do that.
I hate when, because you pick up this dock and I have to get back to you.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Dan, would you roll, please?
Councilmember Burkhardt?
Here.
Councilmember Dickman?
Here.
Councilmember Leary?
Here.
Councilmember Mazur?
Here.
Supervisor Rufino?
Here. Ed, would you do a pledge and invocation, please? Please remain standing.
Dear Lord, I pray for this council meeting tonight to give the council members wisdom and guidance as they deliberate on the items before them. May every decision be righteous in your sight. Amen.
Good evening, all. Tonight's meeting, we will have 17 pre-filed resolutions. There are no suspended resolutions. We have one public hearing, no executive sessions. We're closing in memory of 4 people. They are Mary Ann Kroger, Carol Snyder, Maria LaRusso, and Anne Marie Wilson. At this point, I'll call upon anybody who likes to speak about the 17 pre-filed resolutions. Just raise your hand, and I'll acknowledge you. I'll ask for a second time, and a third time. Okay. Okay, let's go on. We got a couple of minutes before we do the public hearing. So official reports, Matt?
Nothing further than was mentioned in the work session.
Okay, Ed?
Same, nothing.
Okay. Anything from Parks, or you're all good back there? Okay. A couple things that I'll mention, bring up. I don't know if you've seen my editorial in the Bee this past Thursday, but we'll be installing, starting actually tomorrow, signal boxes on the town-managed signals. What these signal boxes will do, it's more of a safety thing, and what they will do is basically if the light goes out, and that normally happens during inclement weather, it will automatically kick in, so we no longer have to deploy any of our emergency personnel to be in the middle of the street to basically direct traffic. It's also going to help, your risk of a traffic accident, pedestrian accident, so on and so forth. It's a great safety feature. I'd like to thank Assembly Member Monica Wallace for bringing a great portion of the funds to cover the cost for these 8 solar boxes. The other thing, I updated everybody on the banners that we're working on. The town board has been looking at. We're going to send you guys some prints that we've gotten back. But you're going to see some banners going up at parks, in the parks area, and some of our streets. You'll see banners welcoming you to Lancaster. It's a program that is cost-free, so looking forward for this to roll off. Anything else, any committees?
Planning board meeting is this Wednesday, 7 o'clock.
Okay. Anything else, from any board members? No. Okay, we got a couple minutes to do resolutions, so I'll move on to resolution number 1. This resolves that the minutes of the regular meeting at Town Board held on September 5th, 2023 are hereby approved. May I have a second
Second.
on the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 2. This is about the following audited claims being hereby ordered paid from the respective accounts as per abstract to be filed in the office of the town clerk by the supervisor's office. It's check run number 01182023. Total amount authorized to be paid is $431,151.47. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, number 3 and 4?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, after the following resolution move for its adoption, be it resolved that the following building permit applications being hereby reaffirmed. There is a total of 38 in the town, 16 in the village, for a total of 54. Now therefore be it resolved that the building permit applications here encoded CSW for conditional sidewalk waiver being hereby reaffirmed with the waiver of the town ordinance required for sidewalks. However, the waiver is granted upon the express condition that the town of Lancaster at any future date reserves the right to order sidewalk installation at the expense of the property owner.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
I do have a question on that. I was talking with Mr. Fiscione about these waivers for the sidewalks. And Mr. Fiscione, would your recommendation be these be looked at on an individual basis, or should we just do away with these waivers and make them put a sidewalk in there?
Well, I believe Chapter 310 is very specific in these residential districts where public sidewalks are required in all local, county, and state roadways at the time of development. Upon request of the applicant, the board can consider waiving that requirement. I'm a firm believer in enforcing the code the way it was written. Those ideals were put in there for a purpose. I don't feel comfortable with making that decision of waiving that sidewalk requirement. So it's really up to the board on whether or not you'd prefer to just eliminate the possibility of a waiver.
I would prefer to eliminate the possibility of a waiver. At this point, do we even know which one of these buildings are asking for waivers at this point?
That listing to date does not have any applicants requesting waiver for that requirement.
Okay, for this particular one, it does.
That's correct.
Okay.
On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. It's time for our public hearing. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on the field stone?
Motion to open the public hearing?
May I have a second?
Second?
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, I'm going to read the legal notice. Legal notice hereby given in accordance with Section 438-H-6B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The Town Board of the Town of Lancaster will hold a public hearing on September 18, 2023 at 7:05 p.m. To hear all interested parties regarding an application for final plat approval of the 40 single-family homes Field Stream subdivision on the north side of William Street between Bowen and Schwartz Roads in the town of Lancaster as prepared by Greenman Peterson, dated July 12, 2023. Further information, including access to a copy of the proposed final plat, may be obtained at the town of Lancaster's clerk's office at 21 Central Avenue. So at this time, I'll ask anybody in the audience who'd like to speak about this public hearing, right here up front first.
Yes, my name is John Eckes. I live on 6 Saybrook, just off of Avian Way in Lancaster, which is off of William. And there's 2 townhouse communities on either side of Avian Way where we are, about 80 homes apiece. But behind us is a residential area that are hundreds and hundreds of new homes. And they all exit on Avian Way, the easternmost Avian Way towards Girdle. And even today, we're always concerned because when we come home, it's 55 miles an hour out there. The street lighting is extremely poor. So before we, consider putting in more homes over there in a very bad traffic area I mean, there's going to be an exit at some point. We've got elderly people in our community. I'm one of them. And people driving out there in the dark are going to have a tough time with people coming 55, 65 miles an hour down that street. Additionally, we have some significant water problems in our development, and I believe across the street is at a higher elevation than we are. And right now, we have some serious mitigation issues going on, and I hope this isn't going to add to it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Former member of council, Councilmember Stepniak.
Donna Stempniak, 32 Saybrook, same subdivision, same patio home as John. I have a bunch of questions, and I'm not sure if anybody has the site plan up. So, because I'm going to be referring to lot numbers and things like that, so I'm hoping that somebody has it in their minds. I have it on my phone, little tiny thing, but I have some questions. So I hope that they can be answered. Number one, how many driveways will be exiting on William Street in the subdivision?
I don't have that information. I don't have the plot in front of me.
This is the final public hearing. I was expecting that I'd get answers.
I think there's about eight driveways.
8 driveways?
I think so.
Whoa. Okay. Here again. How will the driveway on sublot 27 be constructed? Will it have a left-hand garage or a right-hand garage? Because that determines where the driveway is and where Avian Way is located. Have you made any provisions on making sure that the house can only have a right-hand garage or a left-hand garage? Because if we have a left-hand garage, that driveway might be right up to Avian. If it's a right-hand garage, it's a little offset, but those people are going to have a real tough time getting out, even though there's going to be a turnaround. So, no answers. Okay, there's a existing utility pole that I see on the site plan that will be relocated on William Street, and I was wondering where that was going to be relocated.
That'd be up to NICEAG. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Well, I was wondering whether that was going to be located to the east or to the west.
Again, that's NICEAG's call.
Okay, here we go. Sublots 1 and 28, sublots 21 and 20. Those are the corner lots. Will they front on Field Stream or on William Street?
Proper to front on Field Street.
On Field Stream?
It would be proper to front them on Field Street.
Okay, all 4 of them. Okay, that's what I was hoping. The pond that's in the middle of the development, will that be wet or dry?
Wet.
And I assume that these will be owned by the homeowners, who will then have to have a homeowners association to take care of the pond. That hasn't changed since I've been around. Okay. Another question. To the east, on the east property line, there's a really nice stand of hardwood trees. Will any of those hardwoods be left on the eastern property line?
I know there's some being taken down in the back northeast corner,
Yeah,
I believe.
but, because there's a house right contiguous, right next to this with a nice pool and everything. I was wondering if they would have any buffer with hardwoods.
There is a 10-foot drainage easement that runs the span of 3 lots to accommodate any drainage runoff and collect that water and drop it into the retention basin.
So that could, well,
The 10-foot area would more than likely be cleared and infrastructure would be installed.
oh, so that the
Regraded.
trees would be gone. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any trees. Okay. When I looked at the property, there's a photograph of the property. And I was wondering whether the property infringes on the golf course at all, because in the northeast section there's a little spot that says mowed lawn, golf course, on the north property line. So I was wondering whether the property infringes on the golf course, or whether that's going to be eliminated from the golf course.
That'll be eliminated from the golf, I'm sorry, the The parcel that's being sold is going to be the southern part of the streamway that bisects that golf course.
Oh, okay. Let me get my picture here. So the photograph that was with the packet shows a yellow box. So that's not the entire property line? 'Cause that's where I found that little mowed lawn golf course area. So it's going to be smaller? I'm looking at this now.
I don't believe that's a part of the development.
Okay,
There's a large area of conservation space between the backside of
Yeah.
the property lines, right?
yeah, I see that. So, all right, I was just wondering if that's going to continue to be part of that. Well, all right, another question, just for my own purpose. When I saw the topo map, is the contour interval 10 foot or 20 foot? I can't remember what the contour interval is on topo maps.
Should be 2. Typically, it's 2.
So we have a 5-minute time limit. Rick, would you give her more time? Give her your time to speak?
Well, no, you have to say that you're going to speak and then you yield your time to me. Let's do this right.
Richard Stepniak, 32 Saybrook. I yield my 5 minutes to the former Honorable, still Honorable Don Stepniak.
Typically, they're 2 foot if not 1.
2 foot? Okay. Yeah, I don't, I forgot that. And I didn't see the key. Okay, another one. Are there any improvements on William Street other than the 4-foot paved shoulder? Will you have sidewalks?
Yes.
Yes.
There will be sidewalks on William Street? Okay. And plus the 4-foot paved shoulder?
Plus
And so with the 4-foot paved shoulder, then there'll be pipe drainage underneath
Plus,
there?
I recall they're repaving.
To the center line of the road.
To the center line of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who knows when? Do we know when they're going to be repaving, William?
No,
Up there?
The developer has to repave it,
From where?
the width of the property.
Oh, the width of the property.
Yeah.
Then is that part of William Street also part of the project that's going to be
No, the county
So-
project stops at Bowen.
okay, that's what I kind of thought. Okay, another thing is I think we really need legislator Tadaro to advocate for us to lower the speed limit on William. Right in the middle of our subdivision on William Street, it changes from 40 to everybody can go as fast as they want. I sit on my front porch and I enjoy the summer because we see motorcycle races. I mean, the minute that 40 hits, they're gone up to Schwartz. So I'm hoping that legislator Tadaro would be able to advocate for us to lower that to 40 miles an hour all the way to Schwartz. We're building up, we have, as John said, not only our patio homes with seniors who are, skeptical in driving, me included, but also all the houses behind us with kids, and then 40 more houses that free-for-all, and I know it's, Chief, I'm sorry, it's not a free-for-all, I know it's 55, but, I mean, the stuff we see there, it's crazy. So I'm asking the town board to please advocate for us to legislator Tadaro to lower the speed limit. Okay, another question. Will the wetlands and the buffer area be monumented, especially the wetlands?
Yes.
And buffer area, does the buffer area need to be monumented? I don't think so.
It's not required, just the actual limit.
Okay, all right, because that hasn't changed then. And refresh my memory, please, Ed, what can and can't be done in the buffer area?
You can mow it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Then you can't build in it,
Okay.
so you can maintain it, but that's it.
So there's, although it's not their property, they can go and extend kind of their property. There's only a couple of properties that I see that does have a little bit of that buffer area on their lot. They could mow it up to their property line.
Yes.
But then those other lots, if they wanted to do that, they would be infringing on property that's not theirs, correct? They'd be trespassing, in other words.
If it's in the conservation area,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. I saw the habitat study was done for the Henslow sparrows and the sedge wrens, and there were no other endangered species located in that area. I didn't think that that was a good habitat for those anyway. Any drainage issues on this property?
No, not really. Not with the pond they're putting in, no.
Okay, the pond will take care of that. Okay, that's all I have.
Do you know what the elevation of their home site compared to ours, is there a comparison? Do you know how water is draining?
It's going to be draining into their pond. Yeah, that I know.
For those of you unaware, former Councilmember Stepniak was the liaison to the planning board. As you can tell, her great knowledge of all this came out in play here, so thank you for all your comments.
Thank you for listening.
Ron Wardron from 5 Saybrook. Will William Street be widened?
Not the street itself, the shoulder.
No, the shoulders are going to be improved.
Huh?
The shoulders will be improved, but it's not widening lane-wise, no.
They're going to have streets, or they have sidewalks along, and William, or no?
On the north side, in front of this development, will be sidewalks.
Okay. And where is the entrance of the new build?
Well, there's two. There's one diagonal from Avian, and then there's one further east.
Which area? I'm sorry.
The furthest east Avian.
How far is it from there?
I think the separation from Avian,
Because there's a property there, a farm with a farm on it.
I'm looking at the map, pulling the map up so I can give you a dimension here.
125.
Yeah, 125 feet offset from.
How much?
125 feet
From?
Avian. And then if you go west, 125 feet,
Okay.
that'll be the,
Right off, right.
125 feet.
Oh,
Yeah.
left.
yeah. Towards Bowen.
Huh?
Towards Bowen.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else like to speak on this? Yes, right here.
Oh, it's about a lot.
Karen Wheel, 1 Henslow Way. I reside on the corner of Henslow Way and Avian. There's 2 Avian Ways. You all know that? Okay. I'm in the 2nd Avian Way going towards Schwartz. And I had a concern about where does the street that will lead into this development, I think you were just talking about that,
You came out of Avian to William
right?
and turned left.
Turn left towards Bowen,
Yeah, 125 feet
125
From the first or the second area?
from this one.
from the second one,
Yes,
Okay. And it's,
and then it'll cut in.
that'll be the entrance.
And how many residences will be on William?
I believe there's 8. I'd have to. There were more originally than it was cut back to. Pretty sure it's 8.
Okay. Are there diagrams online or something that you can get a visual on this?
No, the plat. You have the plat in your office.
I can see.
Yeah. The plat is available in the clerk's office.
Town clerk's office?
The diagram is called a plat.
Oh, a plat?
It's called a plat, the diagram of it. It's in the clerk's office.
So I need to come to the town clerk's office? Okay. You there tomorrow?
I'm always there.
Okay. Alice Majerski says hello. Okay, and William will not be widened?
No, just there'll be shoulder improvements. That's
Shoulder improvements, and then a sidewalk on the north side,
yes,
covering those 8 new residences?
yes.
Okay. And
Actually more, because it'll go. There's 12 lots, but a couple of them will enter off of the roadway into the subdivision. There's only, and I stand corrected, there's only 6 with driveways onto William.
6 with driveways on William? Okay. And I do have to agree that the lighting there is very poor, along with the speed limit, because there's a sign that says N 40 mile an hour. And when I'm getting ready to turn into Avian Way, I have people, I swear to God, going by me like 80 miles an hour. They cannot wait to get by me. And it's like, you can put your directional on far in advance, and they're like climbing up you. So it's a bad situation. So I do agree that we need to consider the speed limit and additional lighting. Sorry.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Karen, do you live at 1 Winslow?
1 Henslow Way.
Henslow.
Henslow.
Anybody else like to
it is
speak
Sparrow. Yeah.
on this topic? Yes?
I'm Jane Brzezinski. I live at 11 Saybrook. I misunderstood the diagram when I first saw it. I thought there was an interior loop within that development that faced onto William, and then there would be 2 main exits, so that...
That is correct.
Okay, so then I'm misunderstanding what I heard, because I thought I heard that the 8 or 6 residences would be exiting directly onto William?
There's 6 houses along William that will exit onto William, or driveways onto William. All the rest of the houses are internal.
Okay. I would just like to say, I think it's a really bad idea to do that. I think it's very unsafe. I also have concerns about the speed coming down there. People do not slow down. They follow so close, as this woman said. It doesn't matter when you put the turn signal on, doesn't matter at all. They're so close to you, they could be on the other side of you. Okay? That's how fast it's coming, and frankly, it gets scary. The lighting over there is terrible. I work late some nights, I come home, and I hope my husband's not listening. I hate to confess the number of times I've driven by the road because it's just dark, and there's really no way to orient yourself. So the lighting, the speed, the thought of having houses particularly exiting directly onto William, I think is an accident waiting to happen. I wonder why the thought wasn't given to putting a traffic light there. I know everyone hates to install traffic lights, but I'm also thinking families of kids, they'll be going to school, with kids who are going to school from across the street. They're going to want to visit each other. They'll be going back and forth. I think it's a treacherous street to be crossing. I really do. The enhanced pavement, if you will, that's going to be only on the north side, or is that on north and south side? Just the north? Just the north, okay. I'm not sure that's a good idea to have it just one side. I noticed also, I was looking at the minutes from the last meeting, it seems 2 of the council members did vote no on the proposal. Can you share why? You had concerns?
Sure, I thought it was a bad idea. I think it's too crowded in that area. You're right at the end of the District 4 water area for Erie County. If it wasn't within that district, it wouldn't be allowed. You also have a zoning called, excuse me for a second, can you take that back? The zoning that's called Access Management Overlay District, which is along state roads, which somehow or other gives these people the opportunity to build that there. Otherwise, it would probably be just agricultural, residential, or some other zoning in there. So again, I think the whole idea of putting another development into that area is a bad idea. I don't think it's going to be good for the water pressure in the area. I don't think it's going to be good for the traffic in the area. I think we're playing games with the zoning at this point, and you're breaking off a piece of that overlay, access management overlay district, and then when it's sold, I don't know what happens to it. That's the question I was going to ask of Mr. Fichione. Does that go back to being agricultural, residential at that point when it's sold? Or does it stay, part of this access management overlay district? It's not what was intended for an access management overlay district zone along the state highway. So I have all sorts of problems with it. And again, you're just jamming more cars in that area.
Right.
More people in that area. I think it's a bad idea.
And who else was it that had concerns?
Just what he said. Exactly.
Ditto.
No, ditto, seriously. We're having problems with infrastructure. Again, when we look at building up these different areas, they look at a seeker here. Okay, seeker here, but now bring in within that mile radius of all these buildings, now let's add all the vehicles together and see if, you know, the traffic study is good, that it's not gonna have an issue. And, you know, water, drainage, vehicles, and then we have more kids that, we can't get school bus drivers. The police have more areas, you have the highway department. So there's a lot within our infrastructure that just keeps growing, but we have to maintain it as well. And our roads can at this moment.
I understand that, I also understand the water pressure. The shower is not real intense, okay, so you know. The people who did want it to happen, can I ask why? I think there's very legitimate concerns. Why pursue it then?
Yeah, I'll speak first, mainly because they're doing everything within their rights, and we really don't have the right to stop them. If we do vote this down, I guarantee you, we have a lawsuit on our table. I mean, Donna shaking, she's been through this with me. It's not that we're all for this development. It's just that we're in a position where if we turn it down, we have to think about all the residents. And you know, I live in Pleasant View, so I understand the whole concept of William Street and the developments. You know, when Pleasant Meadows went in, Cross Creek, I can't get out of my driveway. I understand all that. However, I have to think about all the residents. And if we did deny this, we're going to have a lawsuit that we're going to lose. Not only have to pay for our fees, their attorney fees, and they're going to put that subdivision in anyway. I feel for you, I do, honestly, but again, some of the things that we just can't control, and we have to vote, maybe, not really the way we want to vote sometimes, but we have to vote with the best intentions, with our conscience that's going to be financially stable for the town.
That's understandable.
And that's his opinion on this, okay? And again,
Not everyone thinks that we would.
not everyone thinks that the same way on this. Again, if there's a lawsuit, there's a lawsuit, and sometimes you got to fight for the residents of the town of Lancaster. You got to stand up for our rights. I think there's some things in there that cause problems for the entire town of Lancaster. This didn't even pass through the planning board. It was turned down by the planning board. They were negative on this development being in there, and with all these other issues going on there, again, at some point in time, you got to make a decision. You got to be willing to fight for your residents. I think this is one of those times you got to fight for the residents and let it go to court and see what happens. Again, there's so many different variables involved in this. You know, to say we're going to lose the lawsuit right off the bat is just, you know, I don't agree with that.
So they also have all the certificates. They have the approvals from DOT, they have the approvals about the water pressure, that's all tested. They're gonna put a plan in and say, this many homes are going in, you know, can our sewers handle it? They get the certificates, it's above us, it's above the town board. You're at the county levels now, and state levels when it comes down to that stuff. We have no control. Once they present all those certificates to us, that's what we have to base our decision on. If there's one of those certificates that fail, we could vote it down based on that, but we have nothing to stand on right now.
Even though the planning board turned it down, turned it away. Our planning board does not have any authority.
So planning board is a recommendation board. They don't have the authority, they're not authors, like a zoning board, they're a decision-making board. Planning board is basically just an advising board.
So unfortunate. Okay, I don't know where we're headed, but it sounds like we're going to get a development. I would just like to say, I think a lot of people had some ideas about mitigating factors, and hopefully those will be heeded. Talk with the developer amongst yourselves, and if there were a way to say, we probably shouldn't do this development in this place at this time, that would be really great. But if not, then the mitigating factors, please. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am?
Gene Brockman, 30 Sedge Run. I've been in emergency service for over 30 years. This is a bad idea. So I hope the people will really consider it and not do it. We have too much traffic, too much speed, and too dark of a road. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. You want a couple comments?
Donna Stepniak again. I just have a question. You mentioned the overlay area. Where is the state road there? Is it? Are you using the
Broadway.
Broad?
It's Broadway.
You're using a Broadway address, but it doesn't even touch Broadway.
Exactly.
This property.
But the property right now is owned by the golf
But
course.
the golf course,
And it comes all the way over to William
That's a
Street. So I
stretch.
think that's a problem, that's a big stretch. And the reality is, that piece is being sold off. So I don't know what the zoning becomes at that point. Does it go back to agricultural, residential? Or I don't see how it stays as part of the access management overlay district. So I'm asking
Yeah, I
that
don't-
legal question.
yeah, I don't think
Can we
it's-
even do this?
I don't think it would be the part of, from what I remember, I don't think that would be part of the overlay district because it's not fronting on a state road anymore.
Exactly. I
In
agree with you.
fact, when I looked at the address, it was like, where is this? Are they talking about that on William? Because it has that Broadway address.
Yeah, and I don't
So I was
think
a
this
little confused.
resolution covers that. You know, what is the new address for this
Yeah.
this plan, so.
Okay.
And again, seeing Councilmember Stepniak brings back memories. Her and I fought against the Tim Hortons on Michael Anthony Transit. We were completely against it, and one other person. There was 3 of us that were against it. It failed. And the next day, we had a lawsuit on our desk, and we were advised by our town attorney. We had to call a special meeting, come back in, and change our votes. And I lost sleep over that because, again, my heart said no, as well as Councilmember Stepniak. But we had to change our votes so we wouldn't get sued. And that's a painful situation to be at. But honestly, it pains me that these things come in front of us when the decision is pretty much already made, that we have to kind of, if you will, pass it through without really having the rights to go, to vote it down. But that's the one that I always refer back to, because we had to come back in and hold a special meeting. So, anybody else on this topic? That's for a second time and a third.
And again, I will just state one more time, again, I didn't get an answer as to what that zoning becomes once it's sold off of from the golf course. What does it
Oh,
become?
my apologies. You're speaking specifically of the Access Management Overlay District.
Yes.
Okay. The filing of the map cover is going to remove that overlay district from the residential portion of the map cover that's being filed. 6061 Broadway, what's left of it will still have that Access Management Overlay District on that property.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that is clearly meant for future developments along the state highways to share access roads into the parcels to reduce the amount of driveways into the state highways. For instance, on Transit Road, every lot that's developed was given a permit for an individual driveway where they could have been combined to have one access point into a stretch of properties to eliminate all the congestion that ends up on that roadway. In the adoption of the zoning code in 2020, we expanded the overlay district to include Genesee, Walden, and Broadway, since all 3 of those are state highways as well, from town line all the way to Transit Road. Again, to accommodate for future development, commercial development, and to reduce the number of driveways on those state highways.
Right, on Broadway.
Not on Broadway.
Not on
Not on William Street. It was never intended to allow any access out onto William Street. It just so happened this parcel spanned from Broadway to William Street.
So do we have a new address for this new parcel on William Street?
When the map cover is filed, each individual sublot will be given individual addresses according to the roadway that it's on. Field Street will have a 1 through however many, and William Street will correspond with the area on William Street that those 6 to 10 lots are going to reside.
Okay, which is what? Everything else on there is agricultural, residential, or what is it?
Well, the northern side is the agricultural residential district that permits single-family development in the sewer district.
Right.
The south side, of course, is the rear lots of the multifamily mixed-use district, and then other residentials that are on both the north and south side of William Street. So wherever the mile markers, wherever those properties fall within those mile markers, will be provided individual addresses to accommodate the 911 emergency response system.
So again, this access management overlay district disappears once this is cut off, and it goes into agricultural, residential, individual houses on there, basically.
Individual parcels will be deemed their underlying zoning, which is agricultural residential, but in reality, these are single-family residential uses. They'll never be farms, they'll never be horse barns or ag buildings. They'll be single-family residentials.
And
So
that's not what we want in agricultural residential
it
areas.
is. The zoning code does allow for single-family
With
residential
each
to be
with their own
developed.
driveway and each, their own building. That's what, that's.
The AR
what's happening
district,
here.
the AR district permits single-family residential
right.
development as is defined in the residential districts within the sewer district. Outside of the sewer district, it's not
You can't
permitted.
do it.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, again, what we have here is, this is disappearing, becoming agricultural residential 1, which needs to be revisited again, whether we really want to do that or not. What we're doing right now is using this zoning access management overlay district to get this done. It's going to be a different property address for each one of these things. I don't think that this resolution covers what is actually occurring here. I think it's got to be, if they're going to each be an individual home in that area, then we should do this each individually as a resolution for each individual home in that area. I don't think this resolution covers it.
Okay, before I close, I just want to comment, I know it's a touchy subject here, but I want to comment and applaud everybody here on this topic. You've all been very professional with your comments, and I thank you for that. With that, I'd like to ask for a motion to close this public hearing.
Motion to close.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
We're going to pick up with resolution number 4, which is Councilmember Mazer.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution move for its adoption. Whereas David Capreto of Forbes Homes and Anthony Pandolfi of Carmina Wood Design have submitted a revised preliminary plot plan dated November 15, 2022, and final plot plan submitted June 29, 2023, and July 20, 2023, and August 13, 2023, respectively, proposing the construction of Fieldstream subdivision consisting of 40 single homes on a 50-acre parcel to be located at 6061 Broadway on the north side of William Street, with new utilities including street lighting, public water, public sanitary sewer, and storm sewer to be installed along the new roadways to serve all the proposed lots within the town of Lancaster, Erie County, New York. And whereas the town of Lancaster Planning Board, acting as lead agency, has completed environmental review on June 7, 2023, in conformance with the seeker regulations and recommended a negative declaration. And whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster, in conformance with seeker regulations, issued a negative declaration on June 20th, 2023. And whereas the public hearing pursuant to Town Code 400-38H6D was held on September 18, 2023, affording persons for and against such proposed construction of Fieldstream subdivision an opportunity to be heard. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the proposed final plot plan submitted August 13th, 2023 by David Capreto of Forbes Homes and Anthony Pandolfi, Carmina Wood Design, for the construction of Fieldstream subdivision consisting of 40 single-family homes on a 50-acre parcel to be located at 6061 Broadway on the north side of William Street, with new utilities including street lighting, public water, public sanitary sewer, stormwater to be installed along the new roadways to serve all the proposed lots within the town of Lancaster, Erie County, New York.
May I have a second? I'll second it. On the roll, please. On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
No.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
No.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 5. Now therefore be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Lancaster approves the execution of easements, documents, and agreements as presented in furtherance of the previously approved water main infrastructure improvements. And be it further resolved, the supervisor is authorized and directed to execute documentation upon town attorney approval. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, number 6, please.
Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I am offering Resolution 6 for adoption. Whereas the Town Line Volunteer Fire Department, by email received September 6, 2023, has requested the deletion of 3 members from the active roster of said fire association.
Oh, can I back up for a second on this prior one? I apologize, but we don't have an actual address for Kevin McGowan. Don't we need an actual address in here? It just says the lands of Kevin McGowan for number 5. I forgot all about that. I should have asked before.
I can get you the address. It's at the corner of Harris Hill and Genesee Street.
Okay.
Is it 5399? or thereabouts. It's in the easement, of course, and I just ended up speaking with his attorney today on that. They did get them.
There you go, good.
So should that be added to the resolution, 5399?
We can if it makes you happy, but we don't need to.
Well, it would make me happy. I mean, again, it should be an exact address as to what we're getting an easement for, right?
It's the easements as presented. The easements reflect both the legal description, a meets and bounds description, SBL, and address.
Okay, there's no SBL, there's no address.
There is in the easement.
But shouldn't it be on the resolution?
No.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We already voted on this. Can we continue on, please?
There was a typo in there, though.
Where's the typo?
In the first whereas Harris Hill Boulevard should be road.
Harris Hill Road.
Okay, so where are we? You were in the middle of the resolution.
Yes.
Sorry.
Now therefore, be it resolved, that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby deletes from the membership of the Town Line Volunteer Fire Department the following individuals: Joseph Heary, Ruby Tomaszewski, Justin Mark.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rupert?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 7. Now therefore be it resolved, the following individuals hereby appointed the following part-time permanent position in the Town of Lancaster Senior Center, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week. And this being a part-time position provides no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. It's Joseph Ferrugia, a Depew van driver, $15 per hour. Effective date is September 18th. Be it further resolved, the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 8. And the same reason, it's just a different van driver. The name is Kevin Wright from Lancaster, New York, $15 per hour, starting September 19th. Be it further resolved, the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 9. Another van driver. Be it resolved that Gary Reeder, Chickawaga, New York, van driver, $15 per hour, starting September 19, 2023. Be it further resolved, the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 10. Now therefore be it resolved that Detective Robert Cornell of the Town of Lancaster Police Department is hereby authorized to attend the Interviewing Techniques Fire Investigators Seminar in Montour Falls, New York, from October 25th through October 27, 2023. Be it further resolved, the total cost of attendance for one detective at the above-mentioned training course is hereby authorized in an amount not to exceed $530 for actual and necessary expense, including the cost of registration, lodging, travel, meal expenses for 3 days on the specified dates of training. And be it further resolved that all requests for reimbursement must be presented in the form of original itemized receipts for actual and necessary expenses upon submission of the proper documentation to the accounting department of the Town of Lancaster. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 11. Now therefore be it resolved that Detectives Thomas Bulera, Jason Batt, and Grant Guncher of the Town of Lancaster Police Department are hereby authorized to attend the Fire Arson Investigation Seminar in Montour Falls, New York, from November 14th through the 16th, 2023. Be it further resolved, the total cost of the attendance for 3 detectives at the above-mentioned training course is hereby authorized in an amount not to exceed $1,130 for actual and necessary expenses, including the cost of registration, lodging, travel, and meal expenses for 3 days on the specified dates of training. And be it further resolved that all requests for reimbursement must be presented in the form of original itemized receipts for actual and necessary expenses upon submission of the proper documentation to the accounting department of the Town of Lancaster. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 12. Now therefore be it resolved, the following individual is hereby appointed to the following part-time permanent position in the Town of Lancaster Supervisor Office, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week, that this being a part-time position provides no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time permanent employees. Michaeline White of Lancaster, New York, clerk, part-time, $20 an hour, effective date September 18, 2023. Be it further resolved, the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, number 13, please.
Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I am offering Resolution 13 for adoption. Whereas the State of New York United Court Systems is soliciting applications from local governments under the Justice Court Assistant Program, JCAP, to assist local justice departments with needed equipment, automation, furniture, supplies, and security. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster approved a resolution authorizing application for these grant funds at their September 5th, 2023 meeting, and whereas the approved resolution identified that the funds are available through the Office of the Justice Court Support, and whereas the Town Board has been asked to modify the name of the grant source, and whereas the Division of Professional and Court Services has made $30,000 available for the 2023-2024 grant cycle, and whereas by letter dated August 22nd, 2023, the Honorable Anthony Servey and David Stabler, Justices of the Justice Court of the Town of Lancaster, have requested authorization to pursue this grant funding to provide furniture, office equipment, and court facility improvements. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster's Justice Court is hereby authorized to direct to file the necessary application, forms, etc., with the Justice Court Assistant Program for the purpose of securing the $30,000 in grant funding, and be it further resolved that the supervisor and other appropriate town officials are hereby authorized and directed to execute all documents pertaining to the application and to the acquisition of said funds.
May I have a second?
Second?
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, would you do number 14, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move the following resolution for adoption. Whereas Article 16 of the New York Town Law and Section 10 of the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York provides for the adoption and enactment of local laws, and whereas the attorney for the town has prepared a proposed local law to establish a one-year moratorium on application approvals and construction of commercial residential development, and whereas the town board has reviewed the attached local law and the town of Lancaster believes it is of public interest to consider enacting the local law, and whereas pursuant to the town of Lancaster Town Code and the Municipal Home Rule Law, a public hearing is required on the proposed local law. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Lancaster that, number one, the local law is hereby referred to the Erie County Department of Environment and Planning pursuant to New York State General Municipal Law, Section 239-M. 2, a public hearing for the proposed local law is hereby set for the second day of October 2023 at 7:05 p.m. at Lancaster Town Hall. 3, the town clerk is directed to provide notice of the public hearing as required by law. And 4, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, number 15.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, after the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the Town Board is considering the rezone and site plan application submitted by Metzger Civil Engineering on behalf of Douglas Wicks for proposed rezone affecting 2.5 acres of land in a 4-lot minor subdivision in general commercial district to a residential district at 5767 Genesee Street, SBL number 94.00-2-1, and 5775 Genesee Street, SBL number 94.00-2-2, to the Town of Lancaster, and whereas the Town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the potential adverse environmental impacts of rezoning the property and constructing a townhouse development pursuant to seeker regulations at their meeting on September 6, 2023, and recommended that a negative declaration be issued. And whereas the town board has duly considered the plans for a rezone using the long environmental assessment form, the criteria for determining significance set forth in seeker regulations, and such other information deemed appropriate, including the recommendation of the Town of Lancaster Planning Board. And whereas the town board has identified the relevant areas of environmental concern, has taken a hard look at these areas, has made a reasoned elaboration for the basis for its determination, and whereas the proposed action has been labeled a type 1 action under seeker, now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the Town of Lancaster that the proposed rezone affecting 2.5 acres of land in a 4-lot minor subdivision in general commercial district to a residential district at 5767 Genesee Street and 5775 Genesee Street in the Town of Lancaster will not result in any large or important impacts, and therefore it is an action which will have a significant a significant adverse impact on the environment, and therefore the board issues the attached negative declaration of the environmental significance for the reasons stated therein. 2, the town clerk shall file a copy of the negative declaration in the file for the project. 3, the town attorney's offices shall prepare and file a notice of determination of non-significance with the petitioner, with all required New York State and Erie County agencies filing a copy of the letter of transmittal. And 4, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
No.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, would you move number 16 and 17, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor, honorable town board members, I move the following resolutions for adoption. Number 16, whereas Matt Piccione, Code Enforcement Officer of the Town of Lancaster Building and Zoning Department, by letter dated August 31st, 2023, has requested that the Town of Lancaster consider the hiring of a contractor to mow abandoned property located at 4817 William Street in Lancaster. Whereas numerous letters have been sent to the property owner, and property owner has ignored all communication, and the current condition of the property has created a concern for public safety. And whereas the Town of Lancaster Assessor's Office will include the expenses incurred on behalf of mowing the lawn at 4817 William Street in Lancaster, New York, to the property tax bill. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster approves the hiring of an independent contractor to mow the abandoned property located at 4817 William Street in Lancaster. Be it further resolved, the Town of Lancaster Assessor's Office will include the expenses incurred on behalf of mowing the lawn at 4817 William Street to the property tax bill.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
I now move Resolution 17 for adoption. Whereas the Town of Lancaster is the owner of the Lancaster District School Number 6, the Little Red Schoolhouse, located at 3703 Bowen Road, and maintains the facility as part of an operations and maintenance agreement with the Lancaster, New York Historical Society. And whereas the Little Red Schoolhouse is in need of 4 new front window shutters to make this historic landmark safer and more enjoyable for the public. And whereas the Town of Lancaster School District Number 6, Little Red Schoolhouse, has been awarded a $100,000 grant through the Erie County Cultural Capital Grant Program located at the Rath Building in Buffalo, New York. And whereas the Town Board has obtained quotes for the purchase and installation of 4 new front window shutters required at the Little Red Schoolhouse. And whereas by correspondence dated September 5th, 2023, Edward Schiller, Director of Municipal Projects, the Town of Lancaster, has recommended that the contract for the purchase and installation of 4 new front window shutters be awarded to Besroy Roofing and Siding, located at 5434 Genesee Street in Lancaster, New York, for an amount not to exceed $13,100. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby awards a contract for the purchase and installation of 4 new front window shutters at Lancaster District School Number 6, the Besboy Roofing and Siding, located on Genesee Street, Lancaster, for an amount not to exceed $13,100. Be it further resolved that the cost of the project will be funded by a $100,000 grant through the Erie County Cultural Capital Grant Program located in the Rath Building, and the balance will be paid for with funds from the Lancaster Historical Society and Museum. Be it further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to execute these contracts on behalf of the town of Lancaster and to do all things necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution, pending the receipt and approval of all required documents and insurance certificates by the town attorney.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. We're going to move on to communications. 479 is Planning Committee. 480 was Resolution 95. 481 Planning Committee. 482 received and filed. 483 through 485 Planning Committee. 486 through 492 received and filed. 493 through 495 Planning Committee. 496 through 498 received and filed. 499 through 501, resolution tonight. 502 through 506, received and filed. 507 through 509, resolution tonight. 510 through 512, received and filed. 513 is for resolution. 514, received and filed. 515 and 516, a planning committee. So we come to the point in the meeting where anybody could address anything that our heart desires. Just please raise your hand, come up to the microphone, state your name and address. You have 5 minutes to comment to the town board.
My name is Paula Academy, and I reside at 23 Denton, off of Pleasant View in the Central Square Village neighborhood. It was kind of ironic that these people were here tonight talking about what I'm concerned with is on the night of August 27th, my 14-year-old grandson and 4 of his friends were walking from Leo's on William to Transit Road to go back to Applebee's when my grandson was struck by a car. To get that phone call that night to my daughter, we were all together as a family having dinner. We were devastated. Didn't know the seriousness of the injuries because there is no sidewalks, as we said, and the shoulders are very narrow. They had to walk on people's lawns. Thank God the people were outside that witnessed it all because she left, the person that hit him. And then she came back to find out where her rear mirror was on her passenger side because that's what clipped my grandson and went and sent him sailing. By that time, the kids had called 911. The police were there, and she did come back, and she got a couple of tickets. But now we're putting in more developments, and I'm just wondering why. I know this is a county road, and like you, I live off of Pleasant View, where we have 2 schools and no sidewalks. William Street is a county road. I know there's no sidewalks, but yet on Walden, which is a state road, we have sidewalks. Who walks on Walden? I just don't understand why we can't get more of an input to get these kids off people's lawns, number one, and have sidewalks. Pleasant View, we have 2 schools. I've lived in town for 40 years off of Pleasant View. These kids have nowhere to walk.
I'm going to respond to this because this is something that I worked very hard to put sidewalks in Pleasant View because of an incident that we had, and we were going to get funded 100%. Okay, I don't know if you recall back then, but this board turned it down. They would not allow me to sign the contract to go after the grant funding that would have been provided by the Greater Buffalo Niagara Transportation Authority. It was going to be a $6 million project, and $5 million, which was 80% of it, would be covered by that grant, and the state, under Monica Wallace, was going to cover the other 20%. It would have been fully funded, and all I had to do was sign the paperwork, and I did not get the authority from this town board to sign the paperwork. Mark was not on the board, I don't think, at that time. Okay, so I think everybody should have sidewalks, and I'm very sorry for the accident.
William Street is going to be, they're going to have sidewalks.
So,
Just down by the newer developments,
No.
to transit.
No, by transit.
Transit to Bowen.
Transit to Bowen, sidewalks are going to be placed, but it's a county project that's going to, 1 or 2 years out. They're starting the design work on it now, So that it is going to happen. It's just,
Because, I mean, I thank God my grandson walked away with just minor injuries, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. And,
Agree with you.
you know,
As far as Walden goes, so that was a state project. The state
Right.
came in. We have no jurisdiction.
I understand that, but just looking
know, I'm
at
just
it,
saying,
who
that's-
walks down Walden Avenue?
I almost wish for our county roads, the county would come in and say, we're putting sidewalks here, because then we would have no say. Unfortunately, we had a vote on it, and it did not pass
And Mr. Tadaro is our go-to person for the county?
for the county, yes.
Because I will be seeing him hopefully on Tuesday night because we both belong to the same Italian club.
Yeah, and I mean.
And I'm going to talk to him about this.
I had meetings, this went on for like a year, and I had meetings, and all those folks were the assembly member, the legislator, I had DOT on there, I had people from the county, I had the Greater Buffalo, we were all meeting probably every other week, moving this along. Ed Schiller was heavily involved with this, did a ton of work, and we were at the point where, you know, we had to come up with different plans for this. Matt was on the phone as well. We had to come up with different plans because what could you fit in there? Ultimately, I think we wanted to fit bike lanes and sidewalks. I don't know if people know this, but if you have a bike lane, once you put a bike lane in, you have to have sidewalks on both sides. That's how it works. Pleasant View was not wide enough to be able to do all that. And the project that we came up with was going to be, we were able to afford sidewalks on one side and then a wider shoulder.
Okay.
Well, it was decided that the better side to put it on was the south side because the two schools, number one, but it was going to affect less people as far as their land and all that stuff. It made more sense. And actually, if you go up, as you would know, you live near there, Pleasant View near pavement, all those new houses have sidewalks.
Correct.
We were going to have a crosswalk going from Stony, crossing from the south side to the north side to continue on. And a project like that, it has to go with the Greater Buffalo Niagara, has to have a starting point and ending point. So you had to have sidewalks from transit all the way to the pavement. So, but I'm upset about this. I touched a little bit of the wall nerve with me in this because, again, I had a lot of time invested in this as well as a lot of other people. And I didn't get the authority to sign the agreement to accept the funds, basically.
Okay, well, that's what I wanted to share with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, sir, back here.
Yep.
Oh, Dave Juba from 7 Deepwood Place. I'm looking for something pretty simple. I need a stop sign. They cut into my street, the Deepwood, Forbes subdivision. The new Deepwood goes up a hill. When people are coming out of there, you can't go to Transit Road or you can't go to Aurora. You got to come out Deepwood or Squirrel Run. So they come down Deepwood, down off that hill, and there's an oval piece of land there with a curb and grass and a couple of trees. Cars parked down the street. It's pretty narrow. People are coming down there pretty fast. There's a lot of babies and children and parents, elderly people walking through there to go up that hill into the new subdivision. It's like the new piece of land to walk with your family. And I need some help here. I've been asking for this for a couple of years on and off.
So the way this town board normally would handle this is, please get a petition together, give it to the clerk. That gets all referred to our police department. They will investigate it, and they'll make a recommendation to the town board.
I talked to the police department, I think a couple of years ago maybe. I talked to you about it a little bit. I talked to councilmen, which I don't even think they're on the board anymore. But I've been after this for a couple of years. Give me the stop sign. I'll plan it. I'll get the concrete and put it in there. If it doesn't work out, I'll take it out. But I mean...
And it has to go through a public hearing, it has to go through the process, and I'll give you the reason why. The one time we did this, a resident came up, a group of residents came up, wanted stop signs. The board said, okay, put the stop signs in. The very next meeting, we had 100 people in here against the stop signs from that area. And they had to take the stop signs out. So right now what we do, if we have a petition, it gives us the reason to at least refer to the police. The police investigates it, makes a recommendation. Then we have to have a public hearing and have residents come in and voice for or against. And once we go through that, then the stop signs go through a resolution. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, if it's difficult for you to go door to door with a petition, people can email me what they would like. If they would email me saying, I would like a stop sign on Deepwood. And that, all of those emails together would be a petition.
Yeah, there's, I'll take the time and the trouble. I'll get it signed and bring it to your office, bring it to you. Are you gonna spearhead this?
Well, it has to go to the town clerk to get filed.
All right, I'll do that then. But I got one more question, if I may. With this Forbes subdivision that went in there, my house was pretty close to the new construction going on. For 3 years, they went into different phases of that. I've seen cement trucks, dump trucks, four-wheelers, 18-wheelers parked in front of my house, loads of dirt being dug out, excavated, dirt blowing on our houses for 3 years. So I figured at the end of this, now they're done. And I did talk to you, you tried to help me out with this. I said, I'll call up the builder and let's get a couple houses power washed on them, right? But they didn't want nothing to do with it, you know, they kind of laughed, so, all right. But isn't there anything you guys can put in there when you give a builder an okay to go ahead, like on this piece of land you were talking about today, to include, you have to make existing neighbors whole? Or something like that happens where you'd have to clean the houses, clean off my siding? For 3 years I've seen dirt, and I'm talking during windstorms. You've seen dirt blowing on my house. Why should I pay for that? Shouldn't be. You know, you're talking a $1 billion corporation.
No, normally, they comply with that. And we've had that situation before. A big example is like Walmart. When they did Walmart, they cleaned everybody's backyard and stuff like that. I had the, on Genesee Street, we had the concrete company. And they went out and cleaned everybody's windows and houses and stuff like that during peak time. So I think that's something that we could probably handle in the future, just to make a note of it.
Can I just ask, what's the cross street to Deepwood where you want your sign?
I'm sorry, where I want to sign it would be at the beginning of the new Deepwood. I think you only need it on one side because they're coming down off that new subdivision. They're actually coming down a hill. And it just helps them speed down there to the next stop sign. Coming off of Running Brook, they got to stop there and then go into their new area. They don't pick up that much speed. But like I said, there's a lot of people walking around there, little children, and I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Yeah. So okay, I'll get that to you. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kevin Lemaster, 720 Schwartz. I just wanted to build on the young lady's comments about Pleasant View and that. I was at that meeting too, Ron, and the board voted for what the people wanted. They did not want to be responsible for clearing sidewalks during the winter because a lot of them went to Florida. So there was actually public hearings. Unfortunately, they weren't recorded like they are now, but if you go back through, I'm sure there's a record of it, that's what the people in the area, they did not want the sidewalks. The money might have been there, but they did what the people wanted. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Ask for a motion to close.
Motion to close?
Second? Second. Roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
I don't know. I know I don't have my mind. Oh, it's good to stand.